In this vlog, we like to deal with the implementation of the media query examples which we have discussed in the previous part of the tutorial. So if you have not gone through our previous tutorial, here's the link for the previous tutorial. I suggest you to go through it if you are not aware of what is a media query and what is its importance in Flutter application development. So I have covered all the basic points which you need to be aware of media query in this part of the tutorial. So I hope you have gone through that, and now let's get started with this part of the tutorial. So this is what the code which we have dealt in the previous part of the tutorial. I've just added a void main here, and so now this code is not a proper way. We need to make a material app and all those things, and I have already created a template and I'll be using that particular template for this part of the tutorial. So let's quickly try to remove this code and make use of our template here. So this is what the template. The tutorial for creating the template is right here. You can have a look at it if you like to create your own template. So now let's get started. We have got everything like material app, scaffold and all these things which are required for an application. And now let's try to add the orientation one which we have created in the previous part of the tutorial. So this is a orientation variable, and okay, the spelling is wrong here, orientation, okay, and media query dot orientation of, and I have also clearly explained why did I took this like media query dot orientation of instead of media query dot context. And so I'm not going to explain again all those things. You may refer to the previous tutorial there. I have clearly explained in the respect of time. So here this particular variable will provide us the orientation. So instead of center here, let's try to create a container now. So container, and you might be well aware like container will be having a child here using which you can specify your widgets. So I'm just going to specify a simple text widget here, and this will be providing with simple media query container, okay, and you can also mark this like a constant. And also now the next thing what I want to specify is like width here. So width I'm going to specify like 200, and height I'm going to specify like 500 here. And now let's try to run this particular code onto our iOS simulator here, and I have already made the simulator up and running, and you can see the code is being now pushed to the simulator and will be appearing here. So build is completed, and here you can see simple media query container, and I'm just minimizing this log. And also you can see I've just closed the project directory as well. You can open this if at all required. And here now we have not added any color to the container. So if we go ahead and add color to the container, then okay, I'm going to add a black color here, or instead of black color let's use another color so that our text is also in black color. And here you can see the color of the container, and the width is 200 and height is 500 here. And now comes the actual scenario where we want to test this. So when you try to rotate the device, clearly observe the width is like 200 and height is 500, right? And when you rotate it like from portrait to landscape, you can see here how the container is being displayed on a landscape page. You can see a lot of white space is being left over onto the screen, and it is utilizing only a part of the screen. And also you can see container is also not fully visible here. You can see some part of the container is went down here, and when you rotate back again, you can see that like we are not able to see the proper way the container, like the height and width is not proper here. So again when you brought it back to the portrait view, then you can see a proper container is completely visible on the screen. So to avoid these kinds of issues, like whenever you rotate, I mean the dimensions are static here, so either it might be a portrait or landscape, here the dimension is fixed over here. So to avoid this situation, based upon the device orientation, we wanted to change the way container look. Okay, so I mean like how the container is being adjusted onto the screen. So now let's try to create width, or let us try to specify like screen width here, and let's try to make use of MediaQuery dot orientation of, and not orientation this time, let's make a size of and use the context, and here you have got height, width, and let's make use of width over here. And the similar way I'm going to create a variable for height here and make it height over here. So this is a screen width and this is a screen height. So if you try to utilize screen width and screen height here and try to refresh the view, then you can see it is covering the entire screen, but this is not what we want. So we just want some portion of the entire screen width, so I am just specifying it like 0.6% of the width and 0.4% of the height. Okay, and now let's try to refresh the screen, and here you can see now we have got a container with a proper box, like proper width and height. And when I try to rotate, you can see it is been completely utilizing the space and it is adjusted, you can see. So 0.6% of the entire width. So if you divide this into the blocks and consider this like a 10 blocks, inside the 10 blocks exactly here you might be the center of the screen, and it took one more block like 0.6 we have specified, right? So in this way 0.6% of the width and 0.4% of the height. And the even I mean in any way when you rotate the device, you will get the accurate measurement, and this is possible with the help of MediaQuery here. And you can also even find out the orientation, and this is the task for you with the help of orientation. And again I will try to provide you a small example. You can make orientation, so you can write an if condition like orientation double equal to orientation dot landscape or portrait. So in this way you can use this particular orientation. So currently this orientation will provide you let's try to see here itself. Instead of stateless widget, I'll quickly try to make this into here. Yes, here we got a stateful widget, and come down a bit. I'm going to specify the set state, and in the set state let's try to print the orientation here. Okay, and now let's try to close the application and try to rerun it. And now let's try to change the orientation and even try to observe the orientation like what it is printing here. Okay, now app is refreshed, and for the first time here let's try to make this a bit. Yes, here you can see Flutter orientation is portrait. Yes, it's fine, it's portrait. And when you make it to landscape, we have got landscape, and again we have so again we have got it into portrait. So portrait, landscape, you can clearly find the difference here, how we are able to find the orientation, and also how we are able to make use of the screen width and height here. So this is the sample implementation and usage of MediaQuery here, which I would like to show in this part of the tutorial, and I hope this is interesting for you. And of course it's a basic thing which most of you might be knowing before to this particular tutorial as well, but I'm just covering this particular topic for the beginners who are getting started into the Flutter application development, and also for those kind of people who majorly do provide a static values here. Like for width and height, they might be providing static values. To get an idea, like you can make use of media query here, and this is a proper way of using media query, like orientation or size of widgets, as we have briefly explained in the previous part of the tutorial, like why you need to provide media query in this implementation only, and why not the previous way where we used earlier. In earlier versions of Flutter, we used to directly specify media query of context and then try to get the each widget individually. So we have talked about all those things, and we have discussed about all those things in the previous tutorial. And yes, so this is it for this particular tutorial, and the code for this particular tutorial I will be providing in the description section below. And in the next part of the tutorial, we'll also be covering some of the few important topics about media query. If you are really interested in this particular topic, do just let me know in the comment section below. And if you like this tutorial, do like, share and subscribe to our channel for more interesting content on Flutter.